The mission that should have been routine. The stars stretched like endless silver rivers across the void. Superman floated at the edge of Earth's atmosphere, his cape rippling behind him, eyes narrowed at the flashing beacon projected from the watchtower console in orbit. It was supposed to be routine. A mining colony near Proxima Centauri had gone silent. No distress calls, no trade signals, just silence. Cal. Batman's voice crackled through the communicator, clipped as ever. We've had no word from the Proxima outpost in 72 hours. No comms, no power signatures. Lantern patrols are stretched thin. It's on you. Superman smiled faintly. You're asking me to deliver a lost shipment of space coal? Don't joke. That colony is built on tech older than the League itself. The kind of tech no one should have access to. Bring back answers. The comm clicked off. Alone again with the stars, Superman inhaled, letting his ears sweep the cosmos. Nothing, just the hum of solar winds. And yet, under it all, a faint pulse. A rhythm, like a heartbeat buried in the dark. He pushed forward, cutting across the black like a comet. The colony emerged, a cluster of silver domes carved into the crater of a dead world. The landing lights flickered erratically. A hollow quiet hung in the air. No workers, no laughter, no chatter of comms. Just emptiness. Superman landed softly on the cracked landing platform. Dust swirled around his boots. His eyes glowed faintly blue as he scanned through the walls. Dozens of life signs once here, but all extinguished. Only echoes of heat remained, as though the colonists had vanished just hours ago. Something prickled his senses. A voice, faint, in a language he shouldn't know, but somehow did. Kal-El. He spun, fists raised, but no one was there. Just the broken walls of the colony's control dome. Inside, consoles sparked weakly. A crimson glow pulsed from the main terminal. He stepped closer, expecting corrupted files, maybe a distress beacon loop. Instead, alien script spread across the screen. Not Proximan, not Earth, not even from a civilization the League monitored. But he recognized it. Every character, every word. Kryptonian. His heart lurched. That was impossible. Krypton was gone. Its archives destroyed, its technology lost with its star. Yet the words on the console glared at him like a curse. Bloodline recognized. Access granted Kal-El. Superman staggered back, as though the screen itself had struck him. His blood? How? He hadn't touched the terminal. He hadn't logged anything. The console flickered again, and a holographic projection burst into the air. Not of Jor-El, not of Lara. This figure was draped in black armor, face hidden beneath a jagged mask, voice metallic and ancient. Kal-El. It spoke, but the voice was not greeting. It was accusation. The last of the forbidden bloodline. Superman's fists clenched. Who are you? The figure's head tilted, as if studying prey. We are what your house destroyed. The forgotten heirs of Krypton's dark empire. You walk as protector of weaklings, yet in your veins runs the same war blood that once brought galaxies to heal. The hologram dissolved into static, leaving only a set of coordinates scrolling across the screen. Somewhere deeper into uncharted space. Superman's mind raced. Krypton had been a planet of science, of order, of progress. Yes, there were mistakes, the Phantom Zone, genetic manipulation, but an empire of blood and war? It didn't fit, unless his family had buried it. He tapped his comm, Batman. I found something. It's Kryptonian. Static. No response. He tried again. Nothing. The entire communication network had gone dead. A sharp clang echoed through the dome. Superman froze. Another, then another, like claws dragging across steel. He spun toward the shadows and saw movement. Figures slipping from the dark, bodies warped and twisted, half organic, half metal. Their eyes burned with faint red light. One step forward, its jaw unhinged too wide, voice garbled. Kal-El, vessel of the bloodline. The swarm lunged. Superman moved like lightning, fists shattering through two at once. They crumpled but did not bleed. They broke apart into wires and black ichor, writhing like serpents. Another clawed at his cape, ripping fabric before he blasted it back with a surge of heat vision. But more kept coming. Every strike he landed, they reformed, dragging themselves back up as if his blows meant nothing. It wasn't strength they sought. It wasn't even his life. They were reaching for his skin, his face, his veins. Bloodline. They chanted in broken unison. Merge. Awaken. Superman's eyes burned. Not a chance. He slammed both fists into the ground, sending a shockwave through the dome that blasted them into pieces. For a heartbeat, silence. Then the terminal lit up again, words scrolling in Kryptonian script. Your blood has been sampled. Integration begins. Superman's veins throbbed painfully, a cold fire spreading through his arms. He glanced down. A faint black glow pulsed beneath his skin, traveling upward. Something microscopic, invasive, had slipped inside him. He staggered, gripping the console, his breath heavy. For the first time in years, he felt weak, vulnerable. The projection flickered again, the armored figure returning, taller now, voice louder. You cannot deny what you are, Kal-El. You are the seed of Krypton's empire. Your blood remembers. The forbidden bloodline will rise again. Superman's vision blurred. For a second, he wasn't standing on the colony. He was somewhere else, a battlefield under a crimson sky. Cities burning, armored Kryptonians marching with banners of black flame. His own hands dripping with blood that wasn't his. No, he whispered, shaking the vision away. That's not me. That's not my people. The figure's laughter echoed like thunder. You will see. The galaxy remembers what Krypton chose to bury. And you, Kal-El, you will bring it back. The hologram vanished. The colony went dark. Superman stood alone in the silence, the pulse still throbbing in his veins, echoing with every beat of his heart. And then he heard it again, that whisper in a language older than Krypton itself. Kal-El, blood of ruin, come home. His jaw tightened. He had come for a routine rescue. Instead, he had uncovered a nightmare, one that seemed carved into his very DNA. The stars outside flickered red as though warning him. The coordinates still glowed faintly on the dead console. Whatever waited out there, it wasn't finished. Superman clenched his fists, forcing his breath steady. For the first time in his life, he wasn't sure if he was flying toward answers or into the heart of his own destruction. Coordinates into darkness. The coordinates burned like fire in Superman's mind. Even though the colony's consoles had gone dark, he couldn't shake them. They repeated every time his pulse throbbed with that faint black glow under his veins. Proxima Colony was gone, its miners erased, replaced by grotesque half-organic husks. And somewhere out in the void was the source. Superman launched from the platform, the cracked metal crumbling under the force of his takeoff. The stars stretched into streaks around him as he punched through faster-than-light velocity. The silence of the void should have been calming. It wasn't. Each heartbeat felt wrong, alien. His comm link still sputtered with static. The Watchtower, Batman, even John S. psychic link, all unreachable. It was as though the second he touched those archives, the galaxy itself had sealed them off. He replayed the words in his head, forbidden bloodline. Seed of Krypton's empire. Integration begins. Krypton, an empire? No. His parents had taught him about a society of science and order, flawed but striving. Had Jor-El lied? Or had Krypton itself buried something darker? The coordinates drew him deeper into uncharted space. The stars here seemed older, colder. Planets hung shattered, moons cracked like eggshells. No signs of life, no patrols, not even smugglers. It was a graveyard, and at its center, a massive structure. Superman slowed, tightening his chest. The station was unlike anything he'd seen. Not a ship, not a planet. A colossal ring the size of a small world, forged of black alloy etched with burning red script. It turned slowly around a void in the center, a hollow space where light itself seemed to collapse. Candor, he whispered before he could stop himself. He didn't know why the name came to his lips. Candor, the Kryptonian city stolen by Brainiac, shrunk and preserved. But this wasn't Candor. This was something older, something worse. The ring pulsed, as though it hurt him. A low hum vibrated across his bones. The black glow in his veins burned hotter, syncing with the station's rhythm. "Welcome home, Kal-El." The voice wasn't in his ears. It was in his blood. Superman set his jaw and flew forward. The station's outer gates cracked open like a mouth, revealing a corridor of crimson light. Against his instincts, he entered. Inside, the architecture was unmistakably Kryptonian. Angular designs, crystalline panels, lines of hard geometry intersecting with glowing glyphs. Yet unlike the Fortress of Solitude, this place felt hostile. The walls breathed faintly, as though alive. He landed in a grand hall. Statues lined the sides, Kryptonians in dark armor, eyes carved into hollow pits. Each carried banners with the sigil of the House of El, but twisted, inverted into jagged flame. His stomach dropped. That symbol had always meant hope. Here it meant conquest. A console activated at the center of the hall. He approached cautiously. The glyphs shifted into Kryptonian script. Archive access. Bloodline Kal-El confirmed. Again, it had red as blood. Again, it had welcomed him. The projection returned. The armored figure, taller than before, details sharper. He could see fragments of scarred face beneath the mask, eyes burning with fury centuries old. "You followed," it said, voice deep and resonant. "Good. Curiosity is stronger than denial." "Who are you?" Superman demanded, fists clenched. "What do you want from me?" The figure tilted its head. "Names are for the living. I am the last memory of the War Kryptonians. I'm the Blood Regent. And you, Kal-El, are the heir." Superman's heat vision flared. Krypton wasn't an empire of war. My people didn't conquer. The Regent's laughter echoed. "Is that what your father told you?" Jor-El, the coward who fled as Krypton fell? Krypton was not destroyed by arrogance alone. It was purged by its own blood. The Council erased the war houses from history, burying our archives, sealing our weapons, erasing our names. But blood remembers. And in you, Kal-El, that blood lives. The hall darkened. Around him, the statues shifted, their hollow eyes glowing red. Not statues, armored guardians, reanimated by ancient tech, rising from their pedestals. "Why me?" Superman asked, though his fists tightened, ready for combat. "If you're real, why not bring yourselves back?" "Because only your line survived," the Regent said. The House of El was not noble. It was cunning. They stole our power, diluted it into a symbol of hope. But hope is weakness. We were strength, and now you will restore it. Your blood is the key to awaken the Forge of Candor. With it, Krypton's empire will return, stronger than ever. The Guardians stepped forward, weapons humming with plasma energy. Superman shook his head. "You're wrong. I'm not your heir. I'm not your weapon." The Regent leaned closer, his holographic form towering. "Then why does your blood answer when we call?" Pain lanced through Superman's arm. He looked down. Black lines spread from his veins across his skin, glowing faintly like circuits. He stumbled, gritting his teeth. The station was doing something to him, rewriting him at the cellular level. The Guardians launched. Superman exploded into motion, faster than lightning, slamming one into the wall, so hard the crystal cracked. Another swung its blade. He ducked, countered with a punch that shattered its chest plate. But instead of falling, the pieces reassembled, pulling back together. He unleashed his heat vision, sweeping through the hall, cutting down 3 more. They reformed, molten alloy twisting back into shape. They weren't alive. They were constructs, powered by the same dark tech infecting his blood. The Regent's voice thundered. "Do you see? They are you. Pieces of the bloodline, fragments of your legacy. You cannot destroy them, for they are born of the same forge that lives inside you." Superman snarled, driving a Guardian into the ground, then leaping skyward, smashing through the ceiling into open void. The Guardians didn't follow. The Regent's laughter echoed in his ears. "You can flee, Kal-El, but you cannot escape yourself." Superman soared away from the station, his mind spinning. Every beat of his heart made the black glow pulse stronger. His body felt alien. His blood didn't feel like his own. He stopped at the edge of the system, floating in silence. His father's words echoed in memory. You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive toward. But what if that was only half the truth? What if Jor-El had hidden the darker legacy of Krypton, one that lived in him all along? A sudden flash burned across the void. Superman turned and froze. The shattered planets surrounding the station were shifting. Fragments of rock, dust, and metal reassembled, pulled together by invisible threads. From the debris rose shapes, colossal figures of stone and alloy, their forms vaguely Kryptonian, their eyes burning crimson. Dozens, hundreds, a dead fleet reawakening. The Regent's voice thundered across the stars. Kal-El, Forbidden Son, you are the catalyst. With your blood, the Empire of Krypton rises again. Superman's fists clenched. Fear gnawed at his chest. Not for himself, but for Earth, for the League, for every innocent world. If this empire was unleashed, no one would stop it. And yet, part of him felt it. The rhythm in his veins, the sync with the station. As though some buried instinct inside him wanted to answer. No, he growled, forcing the infection back with sheer will. I'll never be your heir. But in the silence of space, his blood whispered otherwise. Kal-El, the Empire remembers. The shadow of blood. The halls of the intergalactic archive hummed like a living organism. Dim red lights pulsed along its crystalline walls as though the building itself had veins. Superman's boots echoed across the floor, every step resonating with a dull throb that reminded him disturbingly of a heartbeat. He wasn't alone. At his side was Archivist Lyra, the only official custodian permitted within the archive's deepest chambers. Her eyes flickered nervously over her datapad, though she wasn't reading. The way she held it was more like a talisman against the weight of history. You don't understand, she whispered, her voice brittle. These files weren't meant to be seen. Not by anyone, and especially not by you. Superman clenched his jaw. I didn't ask for this. But if something in here threatens Earth or the galaxy, I need to know. The archivist stopped, her pale face glowing under the archive's scarlet light. It's not a threat to Earth, she said quietly. It's a threat from you. The blood chamber. They entered a vast chamber lined with translucent capsules. Inside, each one floated fragments of bone, shards of armor, and, horrifyingly, crimson liquid suspended in stasis. Kryptonian blood. Superman's chest tightened. His ears rang. He felt the air around him vibrate like the memory of screams. A hologram flared to life at the center of the chamber. It depicted a colossal battlefield. Alien armies burning, ships collapsing in fire, stars bleeding light. And leading the slaughter, Kryptonians. Not as noble protectors, but as gods of war. Superman staggered back. This can't be real. But the archive didn't lie. One line of text scrolled across the hologram, bold and merciless. The Bloodline Project, Phase 1, KLEL. Lyra spoke again, barely audible. Krypton wasn't destroyed by accident. The Council ended it. They sacrificed the world to bury what you were meant to become. Whispers in the dark. For the first time in years, Superman felt fear not from the outside world, but from within himself. His skin prickled, his pulse accelerated. He looked at his hand. His own veins glowed faintly under the archive's crimson light, responding to the ancient blood around him. And then he heard it. A whisper. Not from Lyra. Not from the archives. From his own blood. Kal-El, awaken. Fulfill the covenant. The galaxy bends for you, as it once did for your fathers. You're not a protector. You are the inheritance of war. He staggered forward, clutching his chest. For a moment, his eyes flared not with his usual blue heat vision, but with a dark, unnatural crimson glow. Lyra recoiled in terror. It's starting, she gasped. The bloodline is awakening inside you. Enemy unveiled. Before Superman could respond, the archive's alarms erupted, piercing wails that shook the entire chamber. Shadows moved among the capsules, coalescing into shapes. At first they looked like cloaked figures, but then their forms twisted unnaturally. Elongated limbs, jagged mouths, skin slick with a tar-like substance. The cult of the forbidden bloodline had arrived. Their leader, A towering figure with skeletal armor fused to his flesh, raised a staff tipped with a vial of Kryptonian blood. His voice was a chilling echo. Behold the true heir of Krypton. The archive awakens for him alone. Kneel, Kal-El, and fulfill your design. Superman's fists clenched, though his heartbeat betrayed him. I'll never be what you want. The leader laughed, a sound like grinding bone. You don't have a choice. Your blood has already chosen. The fight in the archives. The cultists surged forward. Their movements weren't natural. They scuttled like insects, their limbs bending in too many directions. Superman launched himself into them, fists breaking through their twisted forms, heat vision burning through their shadows. But for every cultist he destroyed, two more formed from the tar-like substance that seeped from the cracks in the archive floor. Lyra screamed as one grabbed her, dragging her toward a capsule filled with blood. Superman tore through the cultist, pulling her free, but his hand was slick with its black tar. It clung to his skin, seeping into his pores, and suddenly visions slammed into his mind. Visions of himself standing atop alien corpses, his cape torn into a war banner, his eyes glowing red with conquest. He shook his head violently, ripping the substance off. No, that's not me. But deep inside, part of him wondered if it was. The shattered secret. Finally, Superman struck the cult leader directly, sending him crashing into a capsule. The glass shattered, spilling a flood of preserved Kryptonian blood across the chamber floor. The cultists shrieked in ecstasy, diving into the Crimson River. Their forms grew larger, more monstrous, their voices melding into a chorus of worship. The Bloodline returns. The Empire rises again. Lyra stared in horror. You don't understand. That blood is alive. It remembers. And Superman realized with dread what she meant. The blood was merging with the cultists, rewriting their DNA, reshaping them into grotesque Kryptonian hybrids. One of them looked at him with glowing red eyes and whispered, in perfect Kryptonian, "Brother." Superman blasted the hybrids with his full strength, tearing the chamber apart with heat vision and raw power. The archive's ceiling collapsed, crystal and fire raining down. He pulled Lyra close, flying them both out of the destruction just as the chamber imploded behind them. For a moment, silence. The stars above the shattered archive glowed coldly. Lyra's voice trembled. It's too late. You can't fight this. The bloodline isn't just in them. It's in you. Superman turned toward her, his face half lit by the flames of the collapsing archive. His voice was low, shaken but defiant. Then I'll fight it. But as he spoke, his reflection in the broken shards of crystal betrayed him. His eyes weren't blue anymore. They glowed with the same crimson light as the hybrids. The bloodline was awakening, and Superman might already be losing. Crimson Ascension. The wreckage of the intergalactic archive burned behind him, a wound carved into the stars. Superman hovered in silence, Lyra clinging to his arm as they drifted away from the collapsing spires. The archive's death throes echoed like the cries of a dying god, shards of crystalline data scattering into the void. Superman's chest heaved as though he had run for miles. But it wasn't exhaustion. It was something deeper, something crawling beneath his skin, whispering through his veins. His reflection in the black expanse of space showed it clearly, faint streams of crimson light pulsing under his flesh, threading like alien circuitry. His jaw tightened. He turned away from the reflection, as though refusing to acknowledge it could make it untrue. The weight of revelation. Lyra's voice broke the silence, thin and trembling. You can't hide it anymore. The bloodline is inside you. I saw it in your eyes. Superman clenched his fists. No, I am Clark Kent. I am Kal-El. I choose who I am. But even as he spoke, the whispers inside him grew louder. Names are cages, Kal-El. Break them. You're not Clark. You're not Protector. You are Air. He pressed his palms against his temples, as if he could crush the voice out of existence. The void around him quivered. A ripple of heat escaped his body, warping the starlight like glass near fire. Lyra flinched back, watching the man who was once Earth's symbol of hope wrestle with an inheritance written into his blood. The Council's intervention. Before either of them could speak again, a beam of emerald light streaked through the void. A colossal warship emerged from hyperspace, its hull emblazoned with the sigils of the Galactic Council. Dozens of fighters fanned out, surrounding Superman in a net of blinding light. A booming voice projected across the void. Kal-El of Krypton, by decree of the Galactic Council, you are under arrest. Superman's eyes narrowed. For what? For awakening the Bloodline. For threatening every world within this galaxy. Surrender, or be destroyed. Lyra's face went pale. She turned to him, desperate. They won't listen. They've feared this for millennia. They'll kill you before they let the Bloodline spread. The Council's fleet prepared to fire. Dozens of cannons aligned, their lights swelling brighter than any star. Superman's heart thundered. He raised his hands slowly, not in surrender, but in conflict. Part of him wanted to comply, to prove he was not the monster they feared. But the other part, the part that burned like fire in his veins, screamed to fight, to obliterate, to conquer. And then the Bloodline whispered, show them why they feared Krypton. The Crimson outburst. The first volley fired. Blazing beams of plasma tore across the void, enough power to level a moon. Superman didn't move. He didn't dodge. Instead, his eyes ignited, not blue, but crimson. Twin lances of dark heat vision erupted from his gaze, carving through the barrage as though it were paper. The energy tore straight into the Council's fighters, splitting them in half, leaving molten wreckage drifting silently through the stars. Lyra screamed, stop, you're proving them right. But Superman couldn't hear her anymore. The Bloodline had wrapped around his thoughts like chains. His heartbeat thundered louder than her voice, louder than the Council's alarms, louder than reason itself. He hurled himself at the nearest warship, tearing through its hull with his bare hands. Dozens of soldiers scrambled in terror, their weapons useless against the fury of a Kryptonian fully unleashed. Inside, alarms blared. Metal screamed. Superman's cape burned as fire wrapped around him. And for a moment, just a moment, he didn't look like Earth's hero anymore. He looked like Krypton's conqueror. Horror unleashed. Outside, the Council's commander watched in horror as Superman tore through their fleet. This isn't a trial, he muttered. This is an extinction event. Lyra floated amidst the chaos, helpless, tears streaming as she whispered to herself. This isn't him. It can't be him. But deep inside, she knew the truth. The Superman she had met was still there, but he was drowning. Drowning in a sea of crimson blood older than planets. The inner war. Inside the flagship, surrounded by flames and fallen soldiers, Superman collapsed to his knees. His fists pounded the floor, cracking steel like glass. His voice roared in anguish. Get out of my head. And then he saw them. Figures, rising from the fire. Not real, not physical, but phantoms born from his blood. They looked like Kryptonians, tall and proud, their armor dripping with the blood of fallen worlds. One stepped forward, his face eerily similar to Superman's. You are Kal-El, son of a dying world. The universe feared us for a reason. That reason is you. Superman shook his head, eyes burning. I'm not you. I will never be you. The Phantom smiled. You already are. And with that, the Phantom plunged a spectral hand into Superman's chest. His body convulsed, crimson light exploding outward. The flagship shuddered, its walls warping as if reality itself couldn't withstand what was awakening inside him. The catastrophe. Outside, the entire fleet broke formation as a wave of crimson energy burst from the flagship. It rippled like a shockwave, tearing through ships, shredding fighters, collapsing space itself into cracks of blood-red lightning. From distant star systems, watchers would later describe it as though a star had screamed. Lyra was hurled into the void, barely catching hold of debris. Her eyes widened in horror as she saw the flagship split apart, and from its ruins emerged Superman, his body wreathed in crimson fire, his cape in tatters. But his face was calm. Too calm. His eyes glowed red, his expression cold, almost regal. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt what the galaxy had once felt under Kryptonian rule. Not protection, not justice, submission. The twist ending of Part 4. The remaining Council ships retreated in panic, their commanders shouting orders to flee before the Bloodline consumed them all. Superman hovered among the wreckage, silent, unmoving, like a god surveying the ashes of those who defied him. Lyra's voice trembled through her calm, barely a whisper. "Clark, if you can still hear me, fight it. Please." For a moment, there was no response. And then Superman turned toward her, his eyes burning crimson. His voice was steady, unshakable, terrifying in its certainty. "I'm not Clark anymore." The words carried across the void like a death sentence. Lyra's heart shattered as she realized the truth. Superman, Earth's protector, was gone. In his place stood the heir of Krypton's forbidden bloodline. And the galaxy's nightmare had just begun. The last choice. The galaxy trembled. News of the Crimson Awakening spread faster than light. From the ice worlds of Proxima to the jungle moons of Andorra, every transmission carried the same message. Superman had fallen. Once Earth's protector, he now hovered above the wreckage of the Council's fleet like a god of fire and ruin, his crimson aura staining entire star systems with dread. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy remembered why Krypton had been destroyed. The gathering storm. On Earth, panic spread. Across Metropolis, giant holographic warnings flared. Kal-El declared galactic threat. Earth under quarantine. The Justice League scrambled, but their comms were jammed by Council interference. Batman's gravelly voice cut through static. "We can't fight him. Not like this. If he's truly the Bloodline's heir, then this isn't Clark anymore." But Wonder Woman shook her head, her eyes fierce. "No, he is still Clark, somewhere inside. If the galaxy plans to destroy him, then we must be the ones to reach him first." Lyra's gamble. Far from Earth, amidst the wreckage of shattered fleets, Lyra clung to her survival pod. Her hand shook as she activated a hidden beacon, a frequency older than the Council itself. The beacon pulsed once, twice, and then space tore open. From the rift emerged ships unlike any others, ancient, angular, their hulls etched with symbols that pulsed like living veins. This was no Council fleet. This was the remnant of Krypton's secret order, those who had hidden, waiting for the Bloodline's return. Their leader appeared on her screen, a woman draped in black armor, her voice smooth as poisoned silk. "You called us Archivist. The heir has awakened. At last, the Empire may rise again." Lyra's throat tightened. She had meant to summon help. Instead, she had summoned the very cult that had worshipped this moment for centuries. "If he joins you, the galaxy is finished." The leader smiled. "Exactly. The return to Earth." Superman drifted above Earth's orbit, silent, watching his adopted home. For a brief moment, his eyes softened, flashes of memories. Smallville, Lois, the Daily Planet, laughter, sunlight. But then the whispers surged again, crushing those memories beneath crimson chains. "Earth is not your home. It is your throne. Take it." Crimson lightning split the skies. Global defenses armed themselves, satellites locking onto their former guardian. Entire nations held their breath. Superman extended his hand, and every satellite twisted, bent, and shattered in orbit. Earth was defenseless. On the ground, children cried, pointing at the burning streaks across the sky. The Protector had become the storm, the League's last stand. The Justice League confronted him on the edges of Earth's atmosphere. Batman in a stealth carrier. Wonder Woman with her blade of gods. Green Lantern wielding constructs of light. "Clark," Wonder Woman called, her voice echoing across the comms. "You are stronger than this blood. You are not Krypton's curse. You are Earth's hope." Superman's gaze flickered for an instant. His jaw tightened, but then his voice came cold, detached, absolute. "Hope is a lie. Krypton was truth, and truth demands I rule." With a single motion, his heat vision swept across the battlefield, shattering Lantern's shield, tearing through Batman's carrier. Wonder Woman met him blade to fist, but his strength was beyond anything she had faced before. Every blow from him felt like the death of a world. The League fought valiantly, but for each second they resisted, Superman grew stronger. The Bloodline fed on defiance. The more he was challenged, the more unstoppable he became. Lyra's revelation. As the battle raged, Lyra's pod crashed onto Earth, near the ruins of Metropolis. She staggered out, clutching a single data crystal salvage from the archives. It contained the truth the Council had buried. She broadcast it across every channel, her voice raw and desperate. People of Earth, people of the galaxy, listen, the Bloodline Project wasn't about power. It was about control. Superman's blood was engineered, not to conquer, but to choose. He alone can decide whether Krypton's curse lives or dies. His will is the key. The world listened. Even the League paused. And for the briefest moment, Superman himself froze, the crimson glow around him flickering. Inside his mind, two voices clashed. The Bloodline, rule them. His memory, Lois's voice, whispering, Clark, you're stronger than fear. The final confrontation. The cult's fleet arrived, blotting out the stars. Their leader spoke through the void. Era Krypton, your throne awaits. Let us, and the galaxy is yours. Superman's aura flared. The cult chanted, their voices a dreadful hymn. The League, battered and bloodied, prepared to fight to their last breath. And then, silence. Superman looked down at Earth. He saw faces, terrified, broken, yet still hoping. Not for a god, not for a conqueror, but for Clark. He closed his eyes. The whispers screamed. His veins burned. His body trembled as if being torn in two. And then, with a roar that split the heavens, he turned his fury not on Earth, not on the League, but on the cult's fleet. Crimson energy erupted, burning through their ships, shattering their hymns into silence. Lyra's voice cried through the comms. He's choosing. He's fighting it. The sacrifice. But the Bloodline wasn't done. It clawed at him from the inside, demanding survival. Every blast he unleashed against the cult tore him apart. His body cracked with crimson light, his cells screaming under the weight of impossible power. Wonder Woman reached for him, tears streaming. Clark, stop. You'll kill yourself. He turned to her, smiling faintly through the agony. Then it ends with me. And with that, Superman launched himself into the heart of the cult's command ship. The explosion was not fire, not light, but silence. A crushing, infinite silence, as if the universe itself held its breath. When it ended, the fleet was gone. The crimson glow had vanished. And so had Superman. The aftermath. Earth watched the skies, waiting for his return. But only ashes drifted where he had stood. The League mourned. Lois wept beneath the broken sky. Lyra recorded the truth for history. He was not the curse. He was the choice. And he chose us. Across the galaxy, the cult crumbled without their heir. The Council, ashamed, erased their lies and finally acknowledged the sacrifice of Krypton's last son. But whispers lingered. Some said they still saw a streak of red and blue among the stars, a shadow watching, protecting, waiting. And in the silence of the cosmos, one last echo of his voice remained. I am Clark Kent. I am Superman. And I am free.